Okay, this is breaking news, guys.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate has been hospitalized by the Matrix.
Oh, God.
The last thing we wanted.
What happened?
Well, basically, he sent out a tweet and said the Matrix attacked me. And then there's like a news leak that's basically out saying that he was transported to the hospital. No one knows if any of this is necessarily true or not. And no one even knows who tweeted from the account because he's been detained
Matrix wants
for
to
the past
think
like
it's true.
week.
But then the information came out that he had, oh, fuck, where was it? I remember screenshotting it. That he had like a medical condition that he had already notified them of. So he went to the hospital to seek help for the medical condition.
I didn't know that.
So it wasn't like, I've been attacked. Yeah, I don't know.
It's, might want to cut this, but did you see True Geordie's?
One of the brothers was claimed to have a pre-existing health issue that he told a medic about, which led to him being taken to the hospital, Daily Mail reports. So I want to go on the True Geordie, because True Geordie did a whole fucking thing about him lighting him up.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like a few different things can be true about this. He can be an incredibly engaging speaker, have interesting thoughts about gender identity, and know how to package them in a way that just lights the internet on fire, be incredible at debate when it comes to these types of things, and also be funny. And also maybe be involved in some shady dealings with women and the sex cam business, and maybe the treatment of them. All these things can be true. And I think people are like using one to discredit the other when they're completely unrelated. Like, you can have a lot of knowledge about gender dynamics and know how to communicate it, while also maybe potentially have treated some women shitty. And guess what? Also treated women well. There could be women that are vouching for you that you did really treat well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so all these things can be true. And I think like when you really are impacted by someone and really like love someone, and you've started to like craft your identity around them, you want to defend them because you're really defending yourself.
Yeah. If your identity is interwoven with it, 100%.
So it's like,
and same thing happens with Jordan Peterson.
Of course.
Like, people will rip on him, and then people will defend him to the death. And it's like, you got to acknowledge, like, sometimes his tweets are crazy and out of pocket and like unnecessary.
Yeah,
but
he's
they
a man.
Won't,
He
they
can mess
won't
up
even,
just like anybody
They won't
else.
even see it because they're so tied up into his identity.
Yeah.
Which I think even he would say, and I think anyone would say, yo, don't make my message the only thing that you think about in your life.
Jordan would be the first person to tell you that.
Yeah.
He'd be like, that's the most dangerous thing. That's what leads to tyranny.
Yeah, you've created this like parasocial codependency that is not necessary and unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
Yeah.
100%.
And Andrew Tate is like the same thing, where people rap themselves so much and they can't even acknowledge that his rap song sucks. It does though, right? Like,
No, the song is
Wasn't
trash.
bad. Wasn't bad.
stop,
You think-
bro.
Wasn't
You're a
bad.
fucking red pill, dude.
Wasn't
You're
bad.
fucking.
Dude,
Wasn't
you're
bad.
fucking red.
That looked like a
I'm red pill,
Hollywood
yeah.
movie. That's
I
what
told you I signed up for Hustle's University last week.
You are
I'm doing
fucking
it.
Yeah.
big
I'm
dick,
all in.
red pilled,
Yeah.
opposite of a cuck.
Nah,
What is
that shit was bad.
Yeah,
That shit was bad.
But was it just, like
Graded on a curve.
What was it like? I'm watching this and I'm like, what fucking idiot? Who does a fucking song and puts out a music video? Like, what a fucking loser, right? And then
This
you
is the
know,
outfit you wore, actually.
open her up, open her up. No, but so what I was wondering is like, if he's doing it sarcastically, like if he's doing it in the way that we did, open her up.
Or if you're just having fun, it's awesome.
If he's just having fun, then it's awesome. If he's doing it where he's like, I need to be famous, whether I'm going to be on Big Brother or whether I'm going to be on this thing, whether I'm going to do music, something is going to make me famous. I'm going to find a way to be famous.
That's crazy. Because he'd be so good at so many things. Crazy.
It is rare. It is rare, that kind of talent.
yeah.
I'm telling
Rap,
Kickboxing.
you. Kickboxing.
kickboxing,
Yeah.
Talking.
buying cars.
Yeah, Bugatti.
Nobody's been able to buy cars like that, right?
So he says it. Bugatti. Fire.
Pronouncing,
No,
Yeah.
pronounce it.
sick pronunciation of words.
Great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Chess.
Yeah.
I think actually he's good at chess.
He's good at chess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is one of those kind of peculiar things where it's like, okay, if this is all about like what gets me on and what makes me famous because I have a desire to be famous, then you start to look through everything through a different lens.
Yeah.
At least that's how I would kind of do it. If he's doing it to just make a funny video, kind of tease himself, and like this would be a hilarious thing to just put out, then I'm like, okay, that's kind of great.
Yeah.
Cool content. You're willing to make yourself look dumb. And you know you look dumb.
Yeah.
It didn't look like that, though. It didn't look like that.
You can still make the song good too, though. That's what Lil Dicky did. He was like, I'm gonna make a song that's like funny and kind of silly, like kind of put myself
Self-deprecating.
on.
You can't compare him to Lil Dicky. You got to compare him to like Jason Kidd. You know what I mean?
Wait, why?
Kobe Bryant. The guys who rapped as like athletes. Like there are other
Kidd
things,
rapped?
and then they just come out. I think Jason Kidd had one. I know Kobe had an album.
Had an album?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had an album. Kobe rapped. Dude, there was a whole time
A
Shaq
rap
rapped.
album?
Shaq
There was a
too.
time, I think Shaq started
Shaq
it. A
went
bunch of
platinum or
athletes
some
rapped.
shit.
He did.
Cedric
Yeah.
Ceballos actually had a fire one weirdly, like for a ball player.
Allen
But again,
Iverson had a fucking song come out.
Yeah.
That shit was fire. Then they said a couple select words, and they were like, "You're not a rapper no more, bro."
yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Oh, Iverson had bars
He
too.
was 90s out.
Yeah.
On that one.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So what's the thing? Like, I think it's a tricky one, especially for Tate, because I think a lot of people are looking for. There's probably a lot of young men. This is the overcorrection, right? It's like a lot of young men probably feel like there's no voice for their emotional reaction to the popularity of feminism and the positions that are being taken by ultra feminists. And there is no like logical reaction for it. I think Jordan probably has taken some, and a lot of people followed Jordan Peterson because of that. And then Tate came in with like the most. Kevin Samuels came in. You've seen a lot of these guys, and like they're the overcorrection, which is like oftentimes when nobody's speaking out, the loudest voice is going to get listened to, and the loudest voice might not be like the most nuanced, specific one that can take on this issue.
Yeah, and it can go over the noise. If a bunch of people are speaking, the guy who speaks the loudest can go over the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people are tapping into not only that, but like, I think men in general in America, I mean, we talked about this before, just are in like a crisis a little.
Yeah.
It feels like. But I think it's touching on like part of the inequalities that exist against men that people don't really acknowledge because it's not trendy or whatever. But like the dude that if you are in a custody dispute, even if the mother's abusive, you might not get your kids.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Even a feminist would agree it's not fair.
Yes.
But the fact that it's not acknowledged, that's where people start getting crazy. And then they're run into the arms of fucking snake oil salesmen that are like, yeah, I'll promise you everything.
Yes.
It's like,
And you, like we were talking about before, I forget who, you overlook all the dubious shit because they're saying the thing that you agree on.
yeah, exactly. And you self-select. Your brains will just
Yes.
lock into the thing that's true and forget all the shit that's
It's
not.
like all the fucking guys and the people who hate Jews, the anti-Semites, all of a sudden found Kanye as like the most genius artist of our time when he was saying the anti-Jew shit.
Yeah.
They weren't saying anything before. When he was like George Bush doesn't care about black people, all those people were real quiet.
Yeah.
Right? They were like, this is on it. This guy's the truth. The second he was saying that anti-Jew shit, they were like, well, hear him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The music ain't that bad. Like this Kanye gets it. So I think what's happening here, like, with the gender conversation, I think what's often happening is there isn't enough discussion about biological impulse versus societal impulse. So like, what is affecting us and why do we behave the way that we behave? Mm-hmm. Is it biology or is it society? And I think that anything that's inconvenient to you, male or female, you want to chalk up to societal, right? You want to go, this is just society, so let's change it. Let's remove the stigma because it's inconvenient to me, right? Like, let's say, for example, if you're a dude that's kind of short, you want to, I'm not looking at you, but I'm not trying
look
to
at
do
me.
it. But like, let's say if your dude is short, you want to be like, well, it's just society. Society has told women that tall guys are more attractive. Let's get rid of that. That's stigma, that's bullshit, that's prejudice. Let's remove the prejudice against short guys. When in reality, there might be a biological impulse.
Evolutionarily, a taller, bigger guy is going to make a woman feel safer and more protected. Absolutely.
And because of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, but naturally as a dude, you want to go, we can change those things that would benefit me and make my life easier. And I think one thing happening, then you see like, Tate and a lot of other guys talking about this, but like there's a lot of women out there who have maybe taken up promiscuity and tried to handle it with a certain amount of bravado.
Yeah.
They're like, well, guys can be promiscuous, so why can't we be
put it on
promiscuous?
society.
And then they go, that's society that says that we can't, and we should make society fair. And we should try to make society fair. The problem is, biology ain't fair.
No.
I don't gotta sit to piss. You know what I mean? Like biology is just not fair. I think Neil had a great bit. He was like, I'm not sexist, but Mother Nature is incredibly sexist, or something like that. I'm butchering his premise, and I think that's one of those tough things where it's like maybe society isn't the one that says that men don't like promiscuous women. Maybe biologically we don't.
Yeah.
And you're going, but there might be biological reasons for why men don't want to see overt promiscuity with women. You can accept that,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And like, that might be completely rejected by an ultra feminist. And that might be really frustrating for a dude who's like, hey, I don't think it's society telling me this. I just don't want to know about all your exploits. And I don't want to know about that. And I'm not this insecure loser because of it. I'm the result of millions of years of selective mating.
Across every species.
That made me feel like this. So it's like, and I think the problem is now there's a lot of women who might be, bragging about their sexual exploits and might unfortunately be like suffering the repercussions of that, and they don't want to acknowledge the reality, which is society or evolution or biology selecting them out of a thing that they might want.
But I think then they would get pissed where they're like, okay, so biology is supposed to say that we're supposed to live in tribes of fucking 20 people and do these jobs, and you sit in an office and work all day with 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to break biology, but if I want to fuck around, it's fucked up.
And that's why.
And I also
We're
think
also
that's a
not-
generalization. Like, there are a lot of girls who are promiscuous that are winning, and many guys want to be with them. So it's like, I don't think, like, we paint that brush, and I don't think that's the case.
There's exceptions. No, there's allowed to be exceptions.
Well, no. Sorry. Just to acknowledge this one point. I don't want to beat down this point too much, but like Kim Kardashian, we know who her partners have been, but there's not that many. If you really want to calculate it, like we probably know of like maybe 10 people that maybe Kim has been in with the average public knows, and like 4 of them have been her husbands.
But according to the manosphere, that's one too many.
I think that's the overcorrection.
They want virgins.
I think that's the overcorrection. I think that's the exaggeration that gets all like it gets everybody's eardrums perked.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reality is we're talking about the girls who like, I got 100 bodies, I got 300 bodies. I'm like the girl who pops up in some fucking Instagram TikTok where it's like, I was sleeping with my boyfriend, then I went to a gas station and my ex cream pied me, and then I went, and it's like a guy hearing that, is going to go, I don't know if I want to settle down with that person.
I think most of us in this room would say that, but the boyfriend that she's went back to had no problem with that.
Here's what we're saying.
That's not true, but
I don't think.
Oh, they split up?
Yeah, he didn't know about it. She did it behind his back.
Now.
I don't think any of us are defending red pill type shit where it's like the most extreme. You can only have one partner, blah, blah, blah. Society has room to grow and evolve, and we shouldn't just have women, oh, you can only have one partner. Oh, we choose your husbands, etc. But evolutionarily, there is a thing in men based on the fact that I don't know if a baby is mine until like 1980 or whatever. I'd want a girl that has less partners. And I get to have more partners because that's the only way to ensure I'm having kids. If a girl has a kid, she knows it's his. A girl says, hey, that's your baby, I just got to take her word for it.
Right.
I get you, and that's based on biology, but now society, like we've grown,
So sure, and so
that's what I'm saying.
we can progress to a point, but you're asking us to overcome, like Andrew used earlier, millions of years of genetic evolution in this thing.
We had to overcome a lot of things.
I know. This is the argument that people get into, and then it becomes, and I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I think that what we're disagreeing on, not me and you, like the argument itself is basically pinned on how much is biology and how much is societal. And we make that decision based on how inconvenient it makes our life. And the reality is we should make that decision based on what we are actually feeling. So it's very easy to chalk up everything that you don't want to do anymore to societal. And then I think oftentimes the things that are for your advantage, and men are guilty of this as well, the things that are for our advantage, we don't want to stop that. There's no man right here that's going, babe, I want to clean up half the dishes and I want to do half the cooking and I want to do whatever. We are totally fine with that societal pressure to have them, I guess, nurture us in that way, right? We're not giving any pushback, but we will give pushback if they're trying to do something that is inconvenient to us, if they want to have millions of partners or do that kind of stuff. So we're guilty of it, so are women. But neither of us are willing to acknowledge or willing to honestly have the discussion about the biological shit and our biological knee-jerk reaction to things. And I think that's just what it is. Some of it is biology, and it fucking sucks because it is unfair. And maybe if we both just came together and we're like, yo, this is unfair, but like, knowing you've been with 300 dudes, that shit just makes me feel uncomfortable, and I don't want to handle it. And maybe in 100 years from now, or 1,000 years from now, or 2,000 years from now, we won't care. Maybe.
I just wish there was one of these types that didn't package it the way that the manosphere guys package it.
Or the way the feminists package it, right?
Yeah,
because
like,
I feel like
both sides are just too like.
Yeah, the manosphere is the equal and opposite reaction to feminism,
Yeah.
which is like, I should be able to suck a dick every single morning for breakfast, and then nobody should judge me for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now a manosphere dude's gonna come out and be like, you need to be a virgin, right?
Yeah.
But somewhere in the middle is like, yeah, you should have partners and be able to like live a life that's consistent with the technology we have to protect yourself from getting impregnated by someone that you don't want, while at the same time recognize that maybe being with too many people is gonna, for whatever reason, turn off. And we're talking about millions of years of dating or mating has created this way, is gonna maybe turn off a suitor that you might really like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just people talking like that aren't entertaining.
Yo, facts.
And we got the algorithm, man.
It's not as fun to be reasonable. Like, I mean, I feel like I've written jokes about this shit for fucking years in the most salacious way, and it's way more fun.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at the way that people are like reacting to what's going on with Tate, and like the way that almost like young people are reacting to the content, and it weirdly like on some like OG shit makes me a little bit concerned. Like, it's not that difficult, and people aren't that far off, but nobody's listening to each other. So now it's just on some fuck you shit.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna
change, Doug.
No, bro. I got sauce.
Change, Doug.
You put on that hat, you became a real cowboy, dude. Became a real fucking Southern gentleman. Yeah. You know what I mean? What happened?
So what do we do, man? How do we teach these kids?
I think what you said a while ago, it's like you almost enter that stage where you blame women for X, Y, and Z, and they're this, and you go through that period, and then you have to grow out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can try to curb it, I guess, but I don't know how you really. It's something you almost have to learn just by living, and then finding the right girl and being like, oh, you're not like trying to manipulate me. You're also just insecure, just like I'm insecure, and let's try to talk.
Yeah.
And if she's willing to listen, she's the right person, then y'all find that common ground.
And then, you can have that in your personal life, but it's when it seems like in your public life, when people are refuting things that are just so obvious. Like, you know, you ever have a conversation and say, yeah, men are stronger than women, and then like a woman be like, well, not all. And you're like, what is going? Are we gonna argue this right now?
Yeah.
Are we gonna argue that there's not a physical advantage to the male species? Like, yes, there are some women that are fucking strong, and now you're angry that you even have to discuss it.
Yeah. And that's when you hear enough of that, then, like you said earlier, the
Then you
Andrew
go,
Tate
fuck it, I
becomes
like the
so
Tate
fun.
dude that
I
says
love
these
this
bitches
guy.
is weak, they
I'm
can't
sick
open
of
a
this.
door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm tired of arguing, so I like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to FA about this earlier, but it's like, this is the problem. This is the problem with cancellation. Cancellation makes the pendulum swing super far. When you allow someone to have an alternative idea that's not too crazy. I'm not talking about like Kanye with the fucking Nazis, but I'm talking about just an idea that's different from you, and you don't even have to agree with it, but just allow it to be here without getting canceled, right? If you don't allow that idea to be here, the pendulum keeps going,
Yeah.
right? If you allow it, it stops here, then it comes back here, and back and forth, and back and forth. Remember how similar politicians were back in the day?
Yeah.
Now these motherfuckers on different planets.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was like Clinton, Bush, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obama. Like, it was just, you just operate, you go hot potato right here. And now when you don't even allow an idea that is even close to yours, you let that pendulum keep swinging until you have the most extreme version that's real fucking loud.
You're also only talking to people who think like you, so you're all just moving the pendulum this way,
100%.
and then they're all moving their pendulum this way.
And that shit just keeps going.
It's so crazy with presidential candidates. They used to, when they're in the primaries, they were running for all the things that their base wanted. And then once they got elected,
What's the party need?
then they come back to center. And now
Yeah.
it's like, we're kind of saying all the same things, but just a little nuance. Now it's like, you stay on your side and you
Yeah.
keep pushing just
I
on your
kept
side.
thinking in
Like, it
2016.
just stays like that.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah,
I kept-
like, it's crazy.
I kept thinking Trump is going to come back to the middle when he was doing in the
know.
primary saying that
Nope.
about shit, and then he just did not.
Yeah, that shit is done. That's crazy.
You gotta let other people at least say some shit.
Yeah.
Because if they're canceled for saying it, then other people are afraid to say it, and then nobody says anything, and now you just have the most extreme motherfuckers who don't care saying it. And they're gonna be looked at as brave, and then it's the same situation we were in before, which is, I don't care how nefarious an actor is, as long as they echo the sentiments that I feel that nobody's saying. And yeah, I don't know the solution 100%, but I know at least if you let motherfuckers say something and don't immediately try to get them out of here, you won't have as far a swing on the pendulum.
Yeah, or at least try to teach them or educate them why it's not without being fucking aggressive.
Yeah. Exactly. You explain your point of view and have confidence in your point of view and have that discussion, because if you just go, what'd you say, you disagree? Fuck you, you're fired, you need to be canceled. There's gonna be a motherfucker with some Bugattis.
Yeah.
See, and
You know what I mean?
And that's a sucky part, because then you have the guy with the Bugattis and he's packaging this message in a way that people are like frustrated and they want to hear it. But then look at all the shit that he's doing behind the scenes. Is like, look at the guy who's telling you these messages. And that shit.
To what you just
The more
said,
I know about him, I'm like, oh wow, he's on some fucked up
let's
shit.
assume, we got to find out if it's true. This is all alleged.
Yeah, and the song's not that bad. 100%.
But like we were saying, you were talking about frustration. The more frustrated somebody is, the less they care about the person delivering the message.
That's true.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like dudes are frustrated, like real frustrated, and they're just waiting for someone to voice their opinion and or their emotions.
Remember when we used to say agree to disagree? I don't feel like I ever hear that anymore.
That shit was whack, though. That don't make me feel good.
Nah, but that's,
Agree,
hey,
disagree.
nah,
It's better. It's better, but it makes me feel
I
hard.
don't think you've ever agreed to disagree.
Hey,
I
look,
never agreed to disagree.
look, I grew up in.
I go to that bad.
That's my sacred flaw. That's my sacred flaw.
That's your
How about
sacred flaw?
agree till you tap out? How about agree you tap out? Like, I can't do agree to disagree to save my goddamn life.
It's the best. Because if we agree to disagree, not 1,000 people are shouting at you and making you go that much further that way. Hey, we just don't see eye to eye on this, and we'll both probably be right here.
Yo,
but if I yell at you, you going this way, and I'm going this way.
You know the thing that's helped me is to get, because I can't just agree to disagree. I got to be like, agree that you understand why I feel this way. You don't have to agree.
That's fine
Just
too.
understand where this is coming from, and I'm not an asshole or a piece of shit or a monster.
That's valid. That's beautiful.
And you could think it's wrong, and I'll understand. Like, this is even great when I'm like disagreeing with shit with my wife on. It's like, at least know I'm coming from a place that wasn't a jerk. And I apologize if I communicated, but like, just know that the place I was coming from was good.
Yeah.
And I think if politically we could start doing a little bit more of that, like, why don't you want to pay more taxes? Because these motherfuckers in the government don't do shit. And then you go, don't talk about the government. You don't care about that. Because I'm trying to keep all the money I make. That makes sense. that is resonating. That is stop talking about the government with the bridges. Even if the government spent the money so efficiently, you still wouldn't want to pay them.
Yeah.
Like,
I still wouldn't. Even Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, if you can understand why black people feel this way as someone who doesn't get it and be like, okay, I see you on that. And then if you, like I did shows in Toledo and I saw like hopelessness there. Like this is a city that's hopeless. I remember thinking, oh, I see how these guys voted for Trump.
you know,
shitted all over Toledo.
no, but you know what's so hilarious about what you said? You said it's hopeless, like literally hopeless.
It's hopeless.
The reason for the saying Holy Toledo is because there's so many churches in Toledo.
Not no more, bro.
They out here.
Not no more. I ain't even see no churches, dog. I'm telling you, and I made jokes every show I did there. People were great that came to the shows, but we just laughed at how shitty Toledo is. And so if you're a white dude in Toledo and then somebody else comes and says, make America great again, you're not thinking about what used to happen to black people in the 60s. You're thinking about what our town used to be. You're not thinking, oh yeah, that was great when we oppressed those guys. You're thinking, yo, my family used to have jobs. We said, this used to be a town that had fucking manufacturing. Now it has nothing. Let's go back to that. And if you can empathize as a black dude with that, and as a white dude, you can empathize as a black person being like, no, policing needs to change. Even if I don't agree, I understand how you got here. To what you were saying, we just made so much progress.
But there's a group of MAGA that wants to go back to when black
Probably.
Probably.
But I understand not everyone is like that.
Yo, there's also all this this animosity to hot chicks. And don't get me wrong, like these like hot Instagram thoughts, they fucking annoying and that kind of shit. But like, ask yourself, would you not do the same thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really cool. There are times where I don't have to wait online to go to a restaurant. I could.
Yep.
I could choose to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could choose to be like, no, just put me at the end of the list and blah, blah, blah. And every time I'm like, bump a motherfucker so I can eat, right? Now, I take advantage of that situation. I don't want to go back. So it's like, if that hot girl, that's all they've known their whole life, of course they're going to develop in a way where they're accustomed to that. The question is I guess the frustrating part is when they have no awareness of it.
Who's giving them pushback?
Oh, well, I think a lot of it is like, you don't know what life
There's a lot of
is, and a
animosity
man
for it.
has to earn they have to earn their
You mean from the
status. and-
manosphere. That. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Because they get no pussy. That's why.